Come, all good Norse children, sit around Angus while I tell you a story of the gods, wagers and treasures. Loki was known as a trickster god, and a lot of his trickery smacked of malice. Right from the start, the god Thor had a wife named Sif, with a face so lovely, men and gods were constantly longing for her. But even better was the hair that framed that lovely face. Long curling locks of color of sunlight and as thick and rich as the summer wheat. One night when Loki was bored, he climbed into the room where Sif was sleeping and cut off all her hair. It was just a prank, so he said, but a nasty kind of prank. A woman's beauty was judged by the glory of her hair, and blonde hair was the most glorious. Worst of all, only slave girls went with bald heads. When Sif woke, she realized someone had stolen her beauty and humiliated her gravely. Thor found a shoe outside Sif's window and recognized it as Loki's. He grabbed Loki by the neck, ready to crush every bone in his body. But Loki said that only if Thor let him go would Sif's hair grow back. Thor squeezed harder. Loki added that he'd also give astonishing gifts to the gods. Thor released Loki. The trickster god was granted one night and one day to do as he promised. Loki went to a group of dwarves called the Sons of Ivaldi. They were known far and wide to be amazing craftsmen. He persuaded them to make wonders that would fulfill his promise. The Sons of Ivaldi made new hair for Sif from real gold. Oh, she loved gold. And this hair was far better than Loki could have hoped, for it grew like natural hair did, like wheat returning the harvest and winter. Then built a ship called Skidbladnir. The vessel was huge. All the major and minor Aesir gods could sit in it with all their weapons. Its sails attracted the winds, and it went easily wherever it was steered. And the best thing about Skidbladnir was this: the dwarfs had fashioned it of multiple tiny parts so that when it was hauled onto land, it could be folded up easily as a scarf and tucked into a pouch to be carried anywhere you wanted. Next, the Sons of Ivaldi crafted a fabulous spear. The master blacksmith, dwarf Dvalin, looked on as they worked, giving pointers here and there. The spear shaft was so perfectly balanced that it struck whatever it aimed at, no matter the strength or skill of the yielder. They incised runes in its tip and named it Gungnir. Sif's wig and Skidbladnir and Gungnir were all magical. There was other word for it. There's no other word for it. The Sons of Ivaldi strutted in pride at the obvious pleasure of Loki's face, but Loki was surveying them with eyes that were just as keen. Dwarves were not just powerful, they were prideful. Loki seized the opportunity. He laid a wager with another dwarf named Brok and his brother Sindri could never make objects that matched in wonder the three just made by the Sons of Ivaldi. At stake was Loki's head. Brok and Sindri took the bait. Sindri threw a pig hide in the forge and told Brok to blow the bellows without pause. A fly immediately came along and bit Brok's arm. Still, Brok didn't interrupt the puff of the bellows. And when he was done, Sindri lifted from the forge a golden bristled boar named Gulenbursti, who could race through both air and water faster than any horse, and whose bristles lit up even the darkest cave. Then Sindri threw gold in the forge and gave Brok the same instructions. Again the fly came, and it bit Brok on the neck harder than before. But Brok was steady. Sindri lifted from the forge a gold ring called Thrapnir, which every ninth would drip from the finger of its wearer, another 8 rings just as splendid. Then Sindri put iron in the forge and Brok worked the bellows. The fly came again. This time it bit Brok between the eyes and stung his eyelids till blood blinded him. The wreathing dwarf couldn't bear it any longer. He swatted the fly and in the process interrupted the puff of the bellows just for a moment. The result was a hammer named Mjolnir that was powerful enough to level a mountain, would hit anything the thrower aimed at, and would always return to the thrower's feast. But Mjolnir's handle was just a smidgen short because of that wicked fly. And who do you guess might have sent the fly? Or even been the fly himself? We know. But no matter by what means the wager had been won, Loki claimed victory. Brok and Sindri protested, leaving the matter up to the council of the gods to decide. At the council meeting, Loki showered the gods with gifts. He gave to Thor the gold wig for Sif, and to Frey the ship Skidbladnir. To Odin he gave the spear Gungnir, which eventually became the source of much of this god's wisdom, as he deciphered the runes on Gudnir's tip in the 9 long days and nights he hung from the mighty ash Yggdrasil. But Brok offered presents too. To Frey, he gave the boar Gulenbursti. To Odin, the ring Draupnir. To Thor, we know, the hammer Mjolnir. The Aesir Council wasn't swayed by Loki's gift and found in favor of Brok. Loki ran for his life. Thor seized him and Brok was ready to swing the blade, but Loki argued that the wager was only for his head, not his neck. And since Brok couldn't get his head without cutting his neck, decapitation was impossible. Enraged, the thwarted dwarf sewed Loki's trickster lips together. Thus did the gods gain their most precious treasures. But those treasures didn't lessen the hatred toward the source, Loki. Products of malice will never do. Until next time, young Norse children.